Story 1. We have an inside joke because he thinks my cat looks strange. Anytime he sees an odd-looking dog in public, he sends me a picture asking if it is our cat. I think it is both silly and hilarious that we have been doing it for almost a decade. Story 2. We had a video call yesterday because they saw a cool-looking bug. Story 3. He has severe social anxiety and never speaks around other people, but he talks non-stop when we get home. Story 4. He lets our elderly cat sleep under his arm every night because it's her routine, even though it often hurts his shoulder. Story 5. He does not care about birds, but he sends me pictures of pigeons he sees on the way to work because they make me very happy. Story 6. 1. She is really defensive when she feels emotionally vulnerable. 2. She cannot lie to save her life. The first time we hooked up, she did not have much experience, which I was not aware of, but I knew I really liked her. There was something refreshingly honest and unassuming about her. Afterwards, we were getting dressed and I said, I was not really looking for anything serious, but... She interrupted, "Oh, absolutely. Me too. I am just playing the field. That is what college is for. Just having fun. I do not want anything serious. Do not tie me down. Haha." She is hands down the worst, most awkward liar I have ever met. Trying to keep a straight face, I said, "But I was hoping to see you again. This was really nice and..." She interrupted again, "Me too. I would love to meet up again. I really like you. Fuck. My sister told me not to say that or I would scare you off." She has learned to relax a lot since then, but I still enjoy bringing that story up from time to time. Story 7. He tells me when he gets a good deal, even if he bought the item as a present, because I am all about bargains. Story 8. We went on our first date, and I was very awkward. While looking at the menu and trying to think of something to start a conversation about, I blurted out, "I like cheese." He said, "You like cheese?" I replied, "Yes." I was mortified, but he looked at me as if it were the greatest comment ever and we burst into laughter. We still laugh about it years later. Story 9. When he thinks I'm not listening, he trails off with unhinged lines such as "I punched him in the dick" or "fuck you, Steve," and I find it hilarious. Story 10. When we first started dating, he could not give two flying shits about birds. I love birds. After a few months, he began asking me, "Who's that?" about various little guys we'd see on hikes. It turned out that he was paying close attention and secretly reading up on our local species. One day he exclaimed, "Look, it's a doofus-headed towhee." It was a rufous-sided towhee. I nearly died laughing and told him he was the most adorable dingus I had ever met. I also caught him having full-blown conversations with my parrot. "But why do you think the Stones are better than the Beatles? You're insane. You have terrible taste. You are never choosing the music again." Story 11. He has severe social anxiety. He is charming and people are drawn to him, but it unnerves him. His anxiety is so bad that he practices saying hello to me before I answer the phone. I pretend I do not hear it and wait for him to take a break before I say hello. We have been together 20 years. It breaks my heart that I cannot do more for him, so I try to take terrifying social tasks off his plate. I am sure people think I am his pain in the neck, take charge wife, but I do not care. If I order his food, he is more relaxed. I make the doctor's appointments because it stresses him to do so. Story 12. Honestly, it's his smell. I weirdly think it's cute when he's grumpy because he's the nicest grumpy person I've met. Story 13. He wiggles his legs when he sees me approach the bed to cuddle. Story 14. I swear mine can read my mind. Lying on the sofa, I think it would be great if he rubbed my feet, and 15 seconds later he is doing it. Or I remember, "Oh, tomorrow is trash day," and he has already taken the bins out. He is very consistent. Story 15. She squeaks whenever she feels a strong emotion. The squeak changes with the emotion, and I know what each one means and what she needs. Story 16. Today is his birthday, and we stopped at Best Buy so he could browse tech stuff. He's a big gamer, limited to a simple gaming laptop, so he likes to window shop and daydream. He spent 20 minutes talking about a racing wheel controller for driving simulators, his eyes bright with the excitement of a young boy. I fell in love with him all over again. He will get one of those driving setups sometime in his lifetime, if it is the last thing I do just to see him smile like that. Story 17. Whenever we are spending time together but not doing the same thing, he constantly looks back or checks on me, like clockwork. It makes me feel so loved. Story 18. I save the ends of my vegetables and avocado pits to give him because he likes trying to grow plants. So far, he has sprouted 3 avocado plants, 4 garlic bulbs, a carrot, some celery, 3 leeks, and countless spring onions in our linen closet, all of which are now growing in terracotta pots he borrowed from my mother's gardening shed, which she no longer uses. He also found a random seed, possibly a chestnut, which he planted in an old barrel in the yard, and it is actually growing into a tree. Last spring, he completely revived my mother's flower garden, which she had given up hope for. It is extremely sentimental for us because it was originally my grandmother's flower garden, but it fell into disrepair after she died several years ago. He has a remarkably high success rate with plants, and I believe it is because he is so nurturing and naturally loving. He even sings to them. Story 19. When he takes his clothes off before bed, I say peen. He quickly turns away, covers his wiener, and says no peen for yeen. So stupid. Story 20. Every year she gets me a gift related to the kids. One year, the boy said he wanted to grow a garden after a school project, so she got me seeds, wood to make a raised box, 200 kilograms of soil bags. Took her nearly a week to hide them. She also bought waterproof paints and a stencil to paint Daddy and the boy's vegetable patch on the side. Another year, her gift was a wrapped receipt to cover the administrative cost of changing the times of some of her classes, which was a real pain for her, so that my daughter and I could make it to park run every week. I did not have the happiest childhood, and she goes out of her way to make sure I get real quality time alone with the kids. She knows it is the thing I love most in the world, and she pulls something out of the bag every year. Story 21. We make random noises at each other all the time. When our cat meows, we both meow back. It is polite. Story 22. He loves all living creatures and will go out of his way to save a bug. When butterflies land on him, he sits very still and talks to them. When we first met, we discovered that our mothers had given us the same unicorn and snake artwork. Mine was a tapestry and his was a poster. Story 23. That one time he was so upset that he cheated on me in a dream with an evil doppelganger of me that he woke me up to tell me about it and apologize. Story 24. She does this weird, cartoonish, old-timey prospector dance when she gets excited about something she knows is silly. It always makes me laugh to see a 5 feet 2 inches reserved Indian woman act like a dork. Story 25. Her superpower is identifying a movie's low point. Whenever we watch a film together and it hits that moment, she leans over and whispers, "This is the low point." Story 26. When I put my freezing cold feet next to hers to warm up at night, she says, "Ah, nice. So refreshing." She really enjoys it. Story 27. We can have entire conversations using only quotes from The Simpsons and Pokemon noises and still understand exactly what the other person is saying. Story 28. When we get takeout or are at a restaurant, she takes a bite of my food and says she is making sure it is not poisoned. I commend her bravery and selflessness. Story 29. Any comment that aligns with a 1990s song is then finished in psalm form. Me. Please tell me what you want. Husband. What I really want. Story 30. He is up for anything I sign us up to do. I try to help in my community to stay busy. Anytime I tell him we will donate to charity, join a new cause, foster an animal, make and deliver lasagna to neighbors, or volunteer at an organization, he is on board. Even when he is tired or not in the mood, he is always there to help other people and me. I love that about him. Story 31. He makes up lyrics to popular songs that are just about me and how much he loves me. Story 32. When he drives the long way home so I can see Christmas lights. Story 33. He turns up the music every time I go to the bathroom. He started doing it 12 years ago when we began dating to make me less self-conscious about using the toilet. He still does it even though there is no longer any need. It is a cute habit and appreciated anyway. Story 34. He is severely affected by people vomiting. He immediately gags if anyone nearby is vomiting or even talks about it. One day I was vomiting in the bathroom with the door closed so he would not hear it. He came in and opened the door, gagging, to hear and place himself in my line of sight from his chair in case I started choking. That is how I knew he loved me. I already knew, but that moment made it unmistakable. Story 35. We end up saying the exact same thing at the exact same time so often. We look at each other, laugh, and usually hug, followed by, "I love you so much. I'm so lucky." Honorable mention to him for intentionally saying or responding in a particular way because he knows it will make me laugh every time. For example, me, "Would you ever want to poop in the bed? Just for fun?" Him, "No." Me, "Why not?" Him, "What do you mean, why not?" That last part always gets me. I ask him crazy nonsense just to make him laugh and get to that moment. We end up in fits of giggles and cuddling. Story 36. He looks like he can eat shrapnel and shoot bullets, and every day he defies the stereotypes and toxic masculinity the world expects of him. For example, he frequently takes a bubble bath with a bath bomb to unwind. Story 37. She will stop to take pictures of pretty mushrooms and moss for me. In autumn, when she walks through the park home from work, she sometimes brings me a fallen leaf. I have saved them in a little book, and they are so precious to me. Story 38. She wiggles her toes while chopping vegetables, unaware she is doing it. Story 39. He always comes to me, even when I am wrong, to reconcile. He has the gentlest heart and makes me feel good just the way I am. I learned from him what it means to be loved for who I am. Story 40. In Colombia, there was a meme about women wanting men who solve problems. My husband is such a man. He figures out how to fix things like house fixtures and social awkwardness, which is a godsend for me because I am socially awkward. He might not be conventionally attractive, but he knows his stuff and can fix things. I love that. Story 41. The crockery section of the supermarket always makes him light up. He likes looking at the items. He picks up our cat like a log with two hands and holds him up for me to kiss. Story 42. We use cutesy talk with each other, using our animals as proxies. He gives the cat and the dog distinct personalities. They are so different it is hilarious. I know we have used the dog to communicate in public, and I am sure onlookers thought we were deranged. When either of us is away for work, we make the dog video call the other and beg them to come home. The cat never calls because, well, he is a cat and could not care less. Story 43. We joke all the time about what would be the best bad present. Our current top contender is a dirty bandage. That kind of thing makes us giggle until we can't breathe. Looking at each other makes it worse. Story 44. Once I was distracted when my wife said, "Here, hold this for a second," and dropped something in my hand. She is usually very serious, so I put my hand out without thinking. After a minute or two, I needed my other hand, so I looked and found a tiny dry booger in my palm. I couldn't believe how long I had held it, and I completely freaked out. In a sense, I am still hanging on to it. Story 45. He sends me photos of cool-looking mushrooms he finds on hikes or walks because he knows I love them. He also points them out when we hike together. Story 46. He talks to our pets as if they are the most precious babies and always tells them to take care of me while he is at work. Story 47. Not a specific thing, but my girlfriend and I play fight a lot. She is very strong, and until recently I let her win every time. Recently she was saying rude things, so I decided to give her my full effort. Bad idea. Now when we play fight, she goes straight for my secret weakness. I am very ticklish everywhere. She fights dirty now. Story 48. If he accidentally startles the cat or inadvertently does something that might make her feel uncomfortable, he picks her up and cuddles her, so she knows it was not intentional and that he loves her. It is so sweet and cute that it melts my heart. Story 49. When my wife gets passionate about something, she smiles with her tongue against her upper teeth in the most adorable way. I often ask her about her hobbies just to see that smile. Story 50. My husband and I have always enjoyed people watching. In our 20s, we created our own language so we could talk about people without them knowing. For the most part, we grew up, became parents, and moved on from our secret language, but sometimes we still slip back into it. I love it when we do. Story 51. You may think that laughing at the same joke means we are a match. Wait until you hear us making the same joke. He just has my kind of brain. Story 52. It is a feeling. No matter where we are or what is happening, when his arms go around me, I know that I am home. Story 53. My husband and I met when we were both very young, 16 and 17. I was a big reader and always had my nose in a book. He was not. One day he turned to me and said, "When we get married and buy a house, I am going to build you a big library to put all your books." A cute offhand remark, but I knew in that moment he was the one. He likes to make random noises when he is happy. For example, he will be looking in the fridge for some food, and I will hear a pterodactyl screech. It makes me happy to know he is content. Story 54. One of our first dates, we sat on a bar patio and had some beers. I leaned over and gave him a kiss, and he fell out of his chair completely by accident. He's the clumsiest person I've ever met. Story 55. She looks at me and wrinkles her nose. I think it is adorable. She knows that and does it just to make me smile or to let me know she is happy. Story 56. He knows the solution to a shitty day is almost always found at a bookstore. I don't even need to buy anything. Sometimes I can just be there. It's peace for me, and he knows this. Story 57. The way his eyes crinkle in amusement and joy makes me fall a little in love with him again. Story 58. We have an inside joke. I say I need this while pinching the other person's big toe. It makes me laugh. Why would you need my big toe? Story 59. He feels comfortable enough to share his social anxiety stories with me. For example, a senior colleague at work started a conversation and he became so anxious that he said something odd, dropped his smoothie, and ran away. He is also my greatest supporter and always has my back. Story 60. I feel this when I watch movies with my best friends and we simultaneously make the same joke. They are the funniest people on the planet to me. Story 61. He has a reputation for looking like a dead person in pictures. His face goes slack and his eyes close at the precise moment the picture is taken. He takes the ribbing like a trooper. Story 62. I run my fingers through his hair and give him little head scratches, and he cuddles against me and falls asleep almost instantly, 98% of the time. Story 63. It's the way she gets excited when we leave food for the foxes. Even the animals love her. One morning we woke up to the foxes yapping under our window, summoning her for food. Story 64. Every morning on our way to work, after I drop our son off at daycare, my husband calls me to talk and make the drive go by more easily and more quickly because my commute is longer than his and I deal with frustrating inner-city traffic. So sweet. Story 65. He does generous things quietly without making a big deal of it. Just recently at Christmas, he gave £200 each to 2 different charities. The only reason I know is that I work in the charity sector, and he asked my advice about charities for children and for people experiencing homelessness. When I asked why, he explained that because we are childless by choice and both earn a decent, though not large, income, he wanted to give money to charities. There are children who do not get a single present or who feel as if Santa forgot them, and there are people who have no warm bed at Christmas. We have presents under the tree, good food, a roof over our heads, each other, and our dog. After more than a decade of knowing this man, I fell in love with him all over again. Story 66. She laughs at my jokes, but only the funny ones. I love it when I get a nice, hearty cackle out of her. Story 67. She knows what I am trying to say from my hums. If she sneezes and I am busy doing something else or eating, I will hum at her and she immediately understands. The same applies to I love you, thank you, and here. She can tell from the pitch of my hum what I mean. Story 68. He shows me cool rocks when we go to the beach because he knows it makes me happy. He carries the ones I want in his pockets. Story 69. The first night we hung out, we did some fairly in-depth trauma dumping and storytelling about our past. Around 4 a.m., I told them about traumatic issues from my childhood, and they said, "I believe you." Being hard of hearing, I misheard it as, I love you. So I said it back because it felt true. For months later, they told me what they had actually said. And now it's our wedding story. Story 70. I am not ticklish. My siblings, parents, and friends have all stopped trying because it does nothing for me. My husband, on the other hand, can run his finger across my foot and I will react. It really annoys me. Story 71. The way he completely geeks out over airplanes and the adorable look on his face when he knows I do not completely get it. Since it makes him happy, I go along with it. Story 72. They were the only person in my life who was always there when I needed them. Story 73. It was how we looked for one another in a crowd. When we found each other, we continued talking about what we were doing. Story 74. Not my partner. My best friend and I randomly text each other. Did you know Cleveland is great for the whole family? Story 75. My wife is so funny. For context, we are both women, which makes it funnier. She has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and strong impulse control challenges, in the best way. The other night she was walking our dog while a friend was giving me a ride home. My dog is pretty excitable and got so pumped when he saw us. She did not want to deal with him jumping on the moving car we were in and pulling on the leash. So instead of saying hi and walking away, she shouted, "Stranger danger," and broke into a run. It made me laugh so hard. Story 76. He tells the best stories in his sleep. I have hours of recordings from the 14 years we spent together. Story 77. The way he interacts with our cats is adorable. He loves them and talks to them all the time. Story 78. He is very supportive, but he let me try to open a door the wrong way twice, both when entering and when leaving. I was nervous, and the second time I looked back and saw his amused face. He is my biggest cheerleader and is so proud of me, but he is incredibly playful when it is just the two of us. Story 79. He is shy in public, but at home he is outgoing and energetic. It is cute. We play games like guess which room the cats are in, and bet on the outcome of Google searches to see who is right. He is the best. Story 80. My wife sent me a voice memo a few years ago of her making robot noises. I cannot recall the context or why she did it, but I saved the memo and promptly forgot it. I rediscovered it a few months ago and turned it into a custom ringtone. Now, every time she calls, I let it ring for a bit so I can listen to her saying beep boop boop beep. Story 81. Whenever he brings a snack to the couch, he always brings an extra for me or a spare fork, even if I haven't asked. Story 82. I have so many pictures on my phone of him making funny, exaggerated expressions. He can pull his face into cartoonish looks that are absolutely hilarious. Whenever he takes pictures of me, he takes selfies first without my knowledge. Story 83. My partner has a vocal stim. He will say meow, I will meow back, and we will have a whole conversation by meowing. Story 84. We often communicate in Lord of the Rings quotes. We regularly call each other my precious in a Gollum voice and we both feel very loved and seen. Story 85. There are many things, but my favorite is how he adores and includes our dog, referring to us and the dog as your boys. When I get flowers, the dog's name is on the card. When he brings me coffee in bed, he says the dog wanted to come and say hi. We call every time one of us leaves the house, and even after 5 minutes he will say your boys miss you. He is the sweetest person, and getting a dog revealed a new side of him that melts my heart. Story 86. The only thing my partner and I enjoy more than visiting museums is pointing out penises on statues. The British Museum is great for that. Story 87. We roast the absolute shit out of each other. After the first night we spent together, I had my hair in a top bun. He rolled over and said, "You look like a shrunken head." I fell in love right then. Story 88. My wife destroys every car she touches. She runs over debris, melts the brakes, and damages the bumpers. It is amazing how many ways she finds to ruin a vehicle. Yet she is the mother of my children, so I keep fixing the cars. I never thought I would be doing this. Story 89. He has trouble remembering the proper names of roads and streets around our city, so he renames them to something funny or related to the area, often adding Strasse instead of street. For example, Bourne Street becomes Chunky Chicken Strasse. because there is a fast food place on that road called Chunky Chicken with a big neon sign. It's very cute and makes me smile every time. Story 90. He practically purrs like a cat when I scratch his back and scalp. He asks cutely in his sleepy voice, "Please, baby, if you don't mind, would you scratch my back?" Then he makes adorable sleepy noises until he's out like a light. Touch is my love language, so I'm very happy I can touch him like that, and he actually loves my attention. This man is very masculine, so the fact that he can be all cute with me is the best. Story 91. She needs her sleep. Trying to sleep next to her is impossible because she snores, and if you wake her up too early, you are in for a bad time. I love her to death. Story 92. We make each other laugh every day. He is autistic and has severe social anxiety. He feels relaxed and comfortable with exactly 5 other people in the world. Me, our 3 children, and his best mate. Story 93. He is my best friend. We make each other laugh every day. We have been together 10 years, and even now I am the happiest I have ever been. Story 94. He cooks for all my 8 brothers when they come over. Story 95. He gets excited about things I love, even if he does not really care about them. For example, he has seen every season of Drag Race and comments on the performances even though it is not his thing. He knows I love it and enjoys watching with me. Story 96. As a joke once, while we were making the bed, he fluffed the pillows by flailing his arms and knocking them around with this shit-eating grin on his face. I was having a kind of shitty day, and he did it to make me laugh. It worked, and now when we make the bed he will occasionally do that because he knows it makes me laugh every time. Story 97. 23 years of inside jokes and random stuff. She cannot stay mad at me. If I upset her, I start quoting the movie Anchorman and the anger just vanishes. Story 98. He's my ex. We were together for 17 years and he remained a very good friend. He has quirky humor despite a difficult initial approach. When I asked, "What is your resolution for the coming year?" he replied, "Being alive." That happened just before I burned a dish and the fire alarm went off. Story 99. My child sees a cute animal and then starts explaining facts about that animal and so on. He is so proud of himself for knowing these things. Little cutie. Story 100. He shows kindness to strangers. My favorite memory is when a man approached him in a parking lot asking for money for gas because his car had run out of fuel. The man did not know that my honey had a gas can in the trunk. He said, "Hey, stay right here. I'll run and get you a gallon." He did. He is such a sweetie. Story 101. My husband is the only person in this world whom I trust unequivocally. Story 102. We always look over at one another when the dishwasher pod drops in. Story 103. My spouse does not drive. We lived in the northern area of Orange County, California. They took several buses to South Coast Plaza to buy me an autographed set of Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles for our first Yule. That was 34 Yules ago. We are still together. They still do not drive, and I love them. Story 104. He gets a specific look when he is explaining his special interests. Most are things I do not and probably will never comprehend. He explains them as if I do, and he becomes very passionate when I ask clarifying questions, even though I cannot understand. My brain cannot retain computer terms, car knowledge, or gun parts information, but he knows so much and can talk for hours about it and makes it clear in the moment. He is patient, and I cannot wait for him to pass this information to our son, who shows signs of having his father's brain. Story 105. I have always had trouble naming my emotions and talking about them. Communication has been hard for me throughout our 25-year marriage, and I am finally seeing a therapist about it. It is making a huge difference. When I am in a dark place, my wife notices and asks about it in a compassionate way, seeking answers and encouraging me to talk. When she knows I am upset with her, she has the same ability to coax things out of me and help me not keep my feelings bottled up. She does this objectively, without either of us having our feelings hurt. She is my rock star. Story 106. I have been gaslit significantly by my mom and past partners to the point where sometimes I worry that my perception of reality is wrong or that I am secretly much more mentally ill than I realize. My husband's reaction when my anxiety spirals is to overdramatically say, "Darling, where are the cameos?" He says it in an awful impersonation of the husband from the old black and white movie Gaslight. It is so ridiculous that half the time it stops me mid-spiral and I start laughing. He is so sweet. I honestly do not deserve him. He is the best. Story 107. We interject the same movie and television quotes and song lyrics, often at the same time. Someone once told me she wished she were part of a high-five couple after my spouse and I high-fived. Story 108. My husband used to have a 1984 Volvo station wagon. We loved that car until someone totaled it. Anyway, when we are on the road and see another Volvo of the same make and model, whoever calls it first gets a kiss. We have done this for over a decade. It never gets old. Also, every punch buggy is a kiss buggy and every Volkswagen bus is a boob buggy. Story 109. We meow to each other when we do not feel like talking but need something, and we just know what the other wants. Story 110. He knows exactly what to buy to win me over without any hints because he knows me that well. Can happen on a random day, but he notices when I am feeling a certain way and knows what I need. He might say he is going out to call his family and then return with a surprise. The gifts are usually food and the choices are repetitive, so the gift itself is less surprising, but I still get excited and blush every time because I appreciate him caring for me like that. It makes my whole day. I am very simple. It is usually a large soda bottle for us to share, a McDonald's meal, Kinder Bueno, or protein bars. Do not ask why those are my comfort foods because I do not even know. Story 111. My partner always does airport runs for arrivals and departures when my family visits because he knows I get airport anxiety. Whether it is my parents, my siblings, or their children, we have lived in several major cities with very busy airports, and he never complains. It is one of the little things about him that I appreciate immensely. Story 112. He left for work early. After he left, I found a mouse in the trap we had set because one had been living under the washing machine. The mouse did not die in the trap, so I had to put it out of its misery, all before 6 a.m. I called him crying because I find it hard to kill animals. He did not bat an eye, question me, or show any sign that he thought I was overreacting. He said he was proud of me for doing what needed to be done and that I had done the right thing because the mouse should not suffer. Cemented my love for him. Story 113. We will go for a drive, and my boyfriend pulls into places I initially assume are random, nowhere near our destination. It's a park, and he lets me run until I am tired, swing until my hands are sore, and slide until I fly off too far. Story 114. We often say the same thing at the same time. We play jinx by saying 5, 10, you owe me $20, and then fist bump. Story 115. He sings softly to himself while washing the dishes, which he considers his job because he knows how much doing them grosses me out. Story 116. He would always push in my cushion when I got up from my spot on the couch. Story 117. When his feet touched me, I didn't feel instant annoyance or disgust. They were soft and dry. Story 118. She is a people pleaser, but I would never exploit that. I look out for myself and my small circle, which includes her. We both learn from each other. Story 119. He has a specific place for each of his items once he takes them off. For example, he places his watch and his car keys next to each other. Everything is in its own little area. I'm naturally a messy person, but I always put his things in his piles and leave them neatly in place. I think he's adorable. Story 120. We both have obsessive-compulsive disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and anxiety and depression. We understand each other, know each other's tics, support and encourage each other to improve, and are there for each other. It is so great to have someone who truly understands me and what I face. I have never been so open and honest with another person about these things. I used to be very guarded about my obsessive-compulsive disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and anxiety and depression when talking to others, but with him I feel safe. I do not have to hold back. Story 121. A local comedian made a special in 2004 that both of us watched many times on digital versatile disc before we knew each other. We have quoted jokes from that show several times every week since the first day we started dating, and it will be 16 years in January. Story 122. He moved into a new apartment and purchased a Costco bag of chicken tenders. He does not really eat them with sauce. He bought a bottle of ketchup for his place because he knows I love it. Story 123. He randomly hums or sings part of a song, and a few hours later the same song is stuck in my head. Catch myself humming it, and then he chimes in again. I'm convinced he's planting the earworms on purpose. Story 124. She kicks with her left foot when she sleeps. She wakes up at the same hour every day and takes 10 minutes to speak because she hates her morning voice. She makes fun of me for being a light drinker but gets giggly after the second beer. She would never admit it, but she loved the avocado-flavored shampoo I used once, because it is the only one she buys for me when it is her turn to shop. She gets flustered when I give a thumbs up to drivers who stop when we cross the street. She never uses the right amount of Parmesan on the pasta. She cries when she gets frustrated, especially in her foreign language class. She tries to avoid spoilers when I show her a TV show I like by telling me she does not care about a certain character. It does not work, but she does not change tactics. She always goes for the neck, even though she knows I am ticklish there and we will probably spend a full minute laughing instead of getting romantic. She always misquotes Shakespeare and tries to pinch my nose when I say that Harry Potter is terrible. Story 125. This is cute and slightly embarrassing. If I have a hard day and am tired, he tucks me in at night, pulls up the covers and gives me a gentle kiss. I am in my 60s, and this is the first time in my life this has happened. I could not be more fortunate or grateful. I love that he has been my person for decades. Story 126. This post is so wholesome. Oh my God. It makes me wish I were married. Story 127. We have so many inside jokes together, and we always make each other laugh. Story 128. My partner does this really cute hiccup that melts me. Story 129. She likes her fizzy drinks to be less fizzy than they come out of the can or bottle. I am the same. It was a big "we are meant to be together" moment. Story 130. I showed him the infamous 55 YouTube video that went viral when I was in high school. He is a decade older than I am, so he never saw it. Ever since then he has added a SCH prefix to everything he says, and I have too. He will call out Schwat from another room or ask "Schwat do you want to do today?" It has gotten to the point where we no longer speak normally with each other, and it is hilarious and awesome. Story 131. He sings spontaneously, cracks jokes like nobody's business, and has a goofy laugh. Story 132. He takes photos of cats he sees while working at people's houses and sends them to me. Story 133. He is a very tall man and I am a very short woman, but he likes to be the little spoon or sit in my lap sometimes instead of the other way around. We take turns being the one who feels held and protected. Story 134. I tend to ramble a lot. I do not have many hobbies, but when something interests me, I learn everything about it. I will often go on a 15-minute tangent, like that reminds me of this part of Crime and Punishment or a fun fact about The Lord of the Rings. My girlfriend, who is not interested in most of my hobbies, listens gladly and asks questions so she understands. I often apologize for nerding out and she tells me she loves listening to me talk about things I care about. It is wonderful to have a partner who takes an interest because she loves and supports me. I love her so much. Story 135. When we say goodnight, he kisses me and pretends to nibble my eyebrow. When we first started dating, I used to gel my eyebrows down so much that he asked why they were crunchy. We laughed, and he has done it every night for the past 5 years. Story 136. I have many allergies and sensitivities, and I am a picky eater. When we are at a new restaurant and I cannot decide what I will like, he chooses for me. He has never been wrong. People in both of our families have tried to choose for me because they think they know my preferences, but they have never been accurate. He also makes my coffee perfect every time. Story 137. Our marriage spans 2 decades of inside jokes and long-running bits. We do voices for the cats, mock each other, and have recurring gags and lots of laughs. It's fun. Story 138. He helps me name our pets. which include a house spider in the bathroom named Clark and an opossum named Pete that lives in our backyard. He also makes funny noises that no one else would understand, but to me it is hilarious. Story 139. Whenever he sees a homeless person outside a grocery store or coffee shop, he comes back out with something for them to eat and drink. He never tries to get credit for it by mentioning it to anyone. It's just his routine. He also does a happy dance when he gets excited about food. A grumpy-looking rock star roadie in hardcore band t-shirts doing a happy dance over caviar or other fancy food is the funniest sight. Story 140. My husband has a pretty bad resting bitch face, so in grocery stores he always looks very angry. We've been together for 6.5 years, and every time we separate in public, when he spots me he starts grinning like a little kid who was just asked if they wanted the big stuffed animal from a carnival game. That look makes me feel like I can do anything. He's my best friend, and I am so lucky to share life with him. Story 141. My partner of almost 8 years is such an introvert, so it's funny that he has stuck it out with an ambivert. In social settings, when my battery dies, he just holds me and says, "Babe, let's go home and binge movies or just cuddle and scroll our phones." It's like, dear God, I love you. Story 142. He has amazing collections that he expects others will find boring, but they are completely fascinating. They include rare books, antique scientific instruments, and historical documents. Story 143. My husband says he is not a cat person, but he looks at me so smugly when she walks over me to get to him and cuddles against his side or his beard. He found a great curbside cat tree and picked it up to put in the car. It sits on our 3-season porch, and the cat loves it in decent weather. He even points out when we get chewy coupons, laughing out loud. He is definitely her person. Story 144. When he's craving something sweet and wants me to bake it, he finds a cute video and sends it to me. When I ask if he wants it, his answer is always, "Yes, please, baby." It is so stinking cute. I love it. Story 145. I realized I was in love with him when he sang every word to Motown Philly. Story 146. Not with my current boyfriend, but with a sadly deceased ex. I was talking about true crime and serial killers and mentioned Bob Berdella, who is hardly known compared to Jeffrey Dahmer. He answered, "You mean the guy with the Drano?" I knew immediately he was the one for me. Story 147. Aside from the incredible person he is, the amazing support he gives me, and his great sense of humor, he always points out cute dogs when we are driving together. Whenever there is a dog, he points it out and it makes me smile. Story 148. Her honesty and purity. We also have our special dance every time we see each other. Early in the morning we dance, then go into silence about our days. After work, the same thing. Story 149. Whenever we hear, "Love is a fairy tale," my wife screams, "Love," at me, because she did it once randomly, and I was angry for an hour. We also play a game where she sings a lyric and I reply as if it were a conversation. For example, she says, "Do you want to build a snowman?" And I say, "No." Story 150. I remember quotes from different movies and television shows. Occasionally my husband answers with a movie quote, and he knows I will get it. It is a fun language thing we do. I love it. Story 151. Sometimes when we are relaxing after a long day and fall into that doom-scrolling limbo, my wife will look over at me with a cute little smile and say, "Diablo?" We then smoke joints and clear dungeons for an hour or two. It is blissful. Story 152. They recently started to refer to farts as secrets. When we are walking in public, they look a bit off for a moment and then quietly say something like just letting out some secrets. Sometimes they simply say, "Ooh, secrets." Story 153. The man cannot lie, and I find that endearing. I fell in love with him when, while we were dating, he told me something he knew I would not like, and that might even cause me to break up with him because he wanted honesty in our relationship. He is my partner for life. Story 154. My boyfriend sat through 10 to 5-minute YouTube videos of a Korean anime called Alien Stage, which my 13-year-old daughter is obsessed with and wanted to show him. She paused between each video to give in-depth explanations of the lore, and he listened attentively and asked clarifying questions to engage with her. Story 155. My partner takes direction in the bedroom really well, and it was not until 15 years into our relationship that I felt confident enough to share the pointers and kinks I had squirreled away. It is wonderful, especially with someone you trust completely. All of this, including open communication, forgiveness, and a willingness to work on themselves, feels astronomical. Story 156. He was gifted an indoor thermobarometer. Once the humidity reaches around 60%, he immediately airs out the room. It's hilarious because he can't stop himself, and he is so happy when he gets it below 50%. Story 157. He drives a manual transmission and occasionally makes that gesture while shifting gears without realizing it. Story 158. They hum a few little tunes when they are concentrating. It is like background music for their brain, and it is the cutest thing. Story 159. He brings me spiders and other insects so I can make art from them. We often have the same ideas and say them at the same time. When he holds me while he is fast asleep, he is such a snuggler. It is so lovely. Story 160. I am a 55-year-old man and have always had waxy ears, meaning the wax does not fall out like it does for most people. It builds up and can be flaky and gross. I used to clean it out with a bobby pin. My fiancée, a 45-year-old woman, discovered my insecurity and started helping by cleaning them for me. Now, every other night she uses a TikTok tool with a camera and light to clean them deeply. It is very soothing and helps me fall asleep. She loves it and I do too. Story 161. We think the same random things at the same time. We are constantly telling each other that we were thinking the same thing or were about to say the same thing. We share the same A to C way of thinking. Story 162. When we first met, he really liked my rock and crystal collection, so whenever he is at work he brings me rocks he has found that look interesting. He works in construction, testing soils and concrete and collecting field samples, so he comes across a lot of them. A few months into dating, I tried to give him a piece of labradorite I had, and he refused. We now hide it around our places and leave hints. Now that we live together, he puts it in funny places to let me know he is thinking of me. If he knows it has been a hard few days for me, he will put it in our candy stash or near our cans of Red Bull. Story 163. That stupid, crooked smile he wears when he walks through the door at the end of the day melts my heart, no matter what kind of day I have had, and makes my world a little brighter. Story 164. A lot of things, but one thing I find very cute is that if it's just him and me, he'll hold things with his toes. Sitting cross-legged on the couch, if we're smoking together, for instance, he'll hold the lighter between his big toe. I noticed it when we first dated and he apologized, saying he knew people did not like feet, but I found it hilarious. His feet are hobbit-shaped, and that always makes me chuckle. Story 165. He has his own heating, ventilation, and air conditioning business. When we went through a stressful situation recently and I got upset and cried, he stopped what he was doing. He told me he keeps a photo of me in his work van. A few days earlier he had climbed a ladder, felt it was unstable, thought of the photo, climbed down, and adjusted the ladder so I would not be at risk of a ladder injury. Story 166. He loves anything to do with nature. In summer, the cicadas come out. The first time I realized he liked to collect cicada exoskeletons was when we were in his car. I looked down and saw one in the console. I asked what it was and he said it was George. I now help him collect George when we go on walks in summer. One time we passed a cicada that was in the middle of shedding its exoskeleton and he spent at least 15 minutes filming it in slow motion. He was also adamant that George had to make that journey on its own and that we could not help it to a tree. This may be odd, but his excitement and silliness over the little things in life is very cute. Story 167. Mine texts me when he sees the goats on his way home. I receive goat emojis a couple of days each week. I also learned he sometimes takes the longer way home to see if the goats are out. Story 168. He is the first person I want to share news with, good or bad. A few years ago, I was in a car accident and an emergency medical technician was talking to me while they cut me out of the car. He asked if there was anyone I wanted to call. I had the emergency medical technician call my husband on my phone, and he held the phone so I could talk to him. I instantly felt like I would be okay. He was waiting for me in the emergency room because he worked at the hospital, and just seeing him there meant everything. We have been married for 37 years, and even when he drives me crazy, he is the one I want beside me. Story 169. I have seen similar before, but my wife lets our older cat Mr. Jinx sleep on her head. My favorite moment is a random weekend morning when I wake up first and they are both zonked out, somehow looking more comfortable and more uncomfortable than I have ever been at the same time with him curled up on her head. Story 170. He thought a pack of rainbow peppers meant peppers that were every color. I did not know why. After he said this about himself to me, I knew there was no one else. Story 171. He can't lie. I love it. He gets a little cute smile when he lies, and it makes me feel special that I know his tell. Story 172. Not my spouse, but my boyfriend. Every time I do a silly voice, he copies it and runs with it regardless of who's around or what mood we're in, and it's fantastic. I'm so in love with him. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.